Hey everyone, I'm back. I know I haven't made a video in quite some time, probably a little over 2 months. I had a lot of things going on, but I am back. But I just want to say, in the meantime, since I've been away from making videos, I do appreciate everyone that's been watching, all my new followers, all my subscribers since the beginning, and basically anyone who's viewed my channel, anyone who's dropped a like, anyone who's dropped a comment. I really do appreciate it. I do get around you reading your comments. I don't always respond. I do apologize. Sometimes when I go to in my email to respond to a comment, it just kind of gets lost in every comment, and I do apologize. I try to, when I do have some thing to say, I try to get back to you. Anyway, for those of you watching for the first time, or repeat viewer as hasn't done so already, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me support my channel and encourages me to make more videos. So in this video, we're going to be ranking the studio discography of Billy Joel. Billy Joel was born in 1949 in New York City, in the suburb of, the borough of the Bronx. Grew up in Long Island, and his music reflects the New York City lifestyle. As not that I would know a lot about it, although I am from Philadelphia, only about an hour and a half drive from New York City. I am familiar with the city, been there plenty of times. But many New Yorkers, it's kind of like Billy's singing the story of growing up in, probably the most famous city in the world. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. And again, this is just the studio discography. And it is 13 albums total. Coming into 13 for me, I do not own it. It's Fantasies and Delusions. It's Billy Joel's 2001 album, and his last album he put out. I believe he is retired from making music, but he does still play live shows. So Fantasies and Delusions is basically just a classical piano compositions written by Billy, and there are no vocals on the album by Billy. And for me, it's just not really that into that. Just not my style. I don't own anything classical music. Doesn't mean I'm not a fan, I just don't own anything of the classical genre, and I'm sure if I see something out there, I'll probably grab it. Most notably something, probably Mozart, Beethoven, something like that. Anyway, getting into number 12 in the first physical copy I own. Stormfront. Stormfront released in 1989. I am familiar with this album because this was the current album by Billy as I was growing up. And this is a decent album. Features the big hit We Didn't Start the Fire. Doesn't really get much radio play anymore, but it did back in the late 80s and early 90s. Also, the Downeaster Alexa's on here. Great song. The title track's good. Leningrad's a great song, and the opener, That's Not Her Style. Not the best album cover. Still, I guess it's some kind of flag. Someone really knows what this is. Please let me know in the comments, because I'm puzzled. So yeah, basically this is a decent album, and just because it's coming in at number 12 for me doesn't mean I don't like it. Doesn't mean it's not a good album. I just find the other albums, my personal opinion, a little better. So this was the one I was kind of debating whether I was going to put this at 12 or Stormfront. This won over basically because River of Dreams. The River of Dreams is probably Billy's last huge hit, and this came out in '93. And for an artist from the to come out in the '70s and have such a big hit in the '90s was saying something. River of Dreams is still on the radio. It was all over the radio when it came out in 1993. I do like the cover art here. It's a drawing, obviously. It's got to be Billy. It looks just like him. But overall, I don't feel like the 10 tracks on here are that strong to hold up the whole album. Sold a shit ton. Calls it a hit single. No Man's Land, when it opens, it's cool. Blonde Over Blue, I like. All About Soul. Lullaby, Goodnight My Angel. Not really that big on that one. And Famous Last Words is a cool track that ends the album. Okay, coming at number 10. The Bridge. Another bad cover artwork by Billy Joel. Features A Matter of Trust. Baby Grand's a good song on here. But this is more of a definitely an 80s album. This was released in 1986. So I feel like this was more, I don't want to say synthy, but it's kind of got like a new wave touch to it and very 80s popish. But overall, there are good tracks on here. And of course, Billy would follow up with Stormfront, which I do believe is a stronger album at the time. But I don't know, I just feel like re-listening to this, I feel like this holds up a little better. It's a little more listenable than the other two, and produced by the great Phil Ramone, and the production on here sounds good. Okay, coming in at number 9, Nylon Curtain. Artwork's okay. Kind of iconic for me at this point because I've seen this album so many times. This was released in 1982. Allentown, which opens up the album. Really cool song. Basically sings about the working class people of Allentown, and Allen saying, you know, I said I grew up in Philadelphia. Allentown, again, it's not that far, maybe under 2 hours, probably the same distance to get there from New York. Pressure is on here. It's a good song. I feel like Pressure was probably one of the heaviest songs Billy Joel ever did. Really cool track. It was a hit at the time. Doesn't really get much recognition. Excuse me. You know, as being such a good song, it should still get played on radio, in my opinion. Good Night Saigon, another great song off of here. Yeah, I mean, Billy Joel was still on a roll and going into the 80s, still releasing great hits. Coming in number 8, Street Life Serenade. There's a cool album cover. This was released in 1974, before Billy Joel really hit it big, coming out with, you know, a year after Piano Man. Billy Joel was starting to become a household name. The big track off here is The Entertainer, and that's the cool thing about all Billy Joel's albums. There's always this really big hit song off each one, save for maybe I want to say The Bridge. But all these albums have one really big song that's all over the radio, at least one, I should say. Street Life Serenader opens up, just a great track. Los Angelinos is good. Roberta, and The Mexican Connection ends. It's a really amazing song. I feel like this is an underrated Billy Joel album. It's iconic because it's, you know, one of his original 70s releases. However, it doesn't feature all the hit songs, basically just one hit song, which is probably why it's overlooked. Coming at number 7, Turnstiles. Like I was saying with the big hits, Say Goodbye to Hollywood is on here. New York State of Mind, amazing song. Angry Young Man, you know, the prelude into Angry Young Man. And of course, Miami 2017, See the Lights Go Out on Broadway. This came out in 1976. At this time, Billy Joel is, you know, an artist to be reckoned with. I mean, he's got some decent tracks under his belt, but the album that would come after this would really make him a household name and, you know, blow him up, and basically the album that puts him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah, this is just a really cool album. And, you know, as you can see there, it's probably the, you know, New York City train system there. As you can see back, any of us have been there knows, you get that Metro card, you just slide through. Okay, coming number 6, Glass Houses, phenomenal album. This was released in 1980. You May Be Right, Don't Ask Me Why, it's still rock and roll to me. I have the huge hits on here. Yeah, this is just, like from here on out, I just feel like some of Billy Joel's albums, he was just writing hit songs. All his songs are basically right to radio. Such a good writer. And I don't know, the artwork on here is pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of simple, kind of stupid, you could say, but it's kind of cool. You know, you see he's throwing it, and then on the back, the broken glass. So the one thing I will say about these albums, if you go to any Goodwill store or any bargain bin, you'll find like most of these. Nylon Curtain, you always find, it's great. The Bridge, always find. River of Dreams is very notorious for being in the bargain bins, as is Stormfront. But I recommend picking it up. I mean, you can find a lot of that stuff for $1. Billy sold plenty of albums. These are all secondhand. Now we're getting to the top 5. An Innocent Man. Billy Joel really became a pop star with this. He was all over MTV. This was released in 1983. Obviously, the title track's amazing. But the two of his hugest hits on here, Uptown Girl and The Longest Time. Longest Time is just one of my favorite songs ever. It's got that 50s doo-wop vibe to it that Billy was inspired by. I mean, it's just iconic, and for someone to have a hit like that in the 80s, I mean, no one else could do that. Again, produced by Phil Ramone, as were most of these albums. Other good songs on here. This whole album's great. Easy Money's great. Careless Talk, Christy Lee, which is obviously written about Christine Brinkley, who was his wife at the I don't know if his wife at the time, but he did marry her. She is in the video, though, for Uptown Girl. Alright, now we're getting to top 4. Now, for me, I'm a big fan of early Billy Joel. A lot of people will probably disagree with this with me, but number 4 is his debut album, Cold Spring Harbor. This came out in 1971, and opens up with She's Got Away, his first hit. Really cool piano ballad, kind of a love song, but it's just amazingly written. You Can Make Me Free, Everybody Loves You Now, Why Judy Why, Falling in the Rain, Turn Around, You Look So Good to Me, Tomorrow's Today, Nocturne, Got to Begin Again. So, like I said, a lot of people disagree with me, but for me, I like the early singer-songwriter Billy Joel. I just think he was amazing. Kind of like put him in that same category as, like, you know, Jackson Browne, even Bruce Springsteen, the Eagles, you know, but he did play piano, and none of his albums are really guitar heavy. Coming number 3, as I was saying, early Billy Joel, Piano Man. His first, huge single. It's still played all over the radio today. This album is just really, really good. I love this. I always put this on. It just makes me relax. Opens up with Travel and Prayer, obviously, and then the title track, Ain't No Crime, You're My Home, The Ballad of Billy the Kid. Love that song. Amazing, amazing, amazing song. Worst Comes to Worst, Stop in Nevada. If Only Had the World to Tell You, Somewhere Along the Line, and it ends with Captain Jack, another one of his huge hits. And I don't know, it's just one of those songs that you just put on at night, you're having a couple beers, you can throw it on at the bar, and everyone's just either singing along or they're feeling it. Great song. Now we're down to the last 2. Number 2, 52nd Street. It was kind of hard for Billy Joel to follow up The Stranger, and he did with this. Another album, hit after hit, Big Shot, Honesty, My Life, Zanzibar, Stiletto, Rosalinda's Eyes, Half a Mile Away, Until the Night, and of course the title track. Really cool artwork there. As you can tell, he's probably standing in a, that's a trumpet, just standing in a, I don't know, probably just a New York alley. Could just be a wall. As you can see, you've got the door there fenced in. He's just sitting there holding a trumpet. He's got that suit on. Doesn't look like a rock star, but man, was he a rock star at this time. He was one of the biggest artists in the world at this time when this was released in 1978. And number 1, I'm sure everyone guessed this before you even clicked on this video. I mean, it's kind of hard not to put this number 1, The Stranger. One of the greatest albums of all time, one of the biggest selling albums of all time. Could also be called Billy Joel's Greatest Hits because it's basically hit for hit. Released in 1977, opens up with Moving Out, Anthony's song. Title track, The Stranger, Just the Way You Are, which I feel like is probably the most used wedding song of all time. Props to Billy Joel for that. Scenes from Italian Restaurant. I mean, how good is that song? How good is it? Everyone feels that when it comes on. Vienna, great track, very underrated off this album. Only the Good Die Young, She's Always a Woman, Get It Right the First Time, and it finally ends with Everybody Has a Dream. And if you have never heard this album, which I find rare, go pick it up. I mean, just look at the, the album artwork is kind of weird there. It just looks like he's just sitting probably in his New York apartment. Got that weird kind of mask sitting on his pillow he's looking at. He's got the boxing gloves hung up on the back. I mean, how New York is that? Got the guy with the Yankees jersey on. They're just sitting probably at an Italian restaurant having some spaghetti or something, whatever. So yeah, that's my ranking of Billy Joel studio albums. Yeah, for me, I was never a huge Billy Joel fan. Like, where I had to delve into all his albums, and you know, if I had the Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2, then I finally bought the Greatest Hits Volume 3. But I found a Stranger on vinyl when I was probably about 12, and I'm sure people have watched my channel have heard the story before. When I was 12, found my uncle's records in my grandmother's basements, listened to them. Of course, you look on the back, moving out, just the way you are. Scenes from Italian Restaurant, Only Go Die Young. Oh, I know those songs. I've heard the radio in my life. So I put it on, and yeah, after this, well, Stormfront, let me rephrase it. Stormfront was the first one I owned because, like I said, my mom bought this CD when it came out and kind of inherited it, so it was always in the house. But yeah, when I was 12, I got into The Stranger. Also had the Greatest Hits on vinyl. Songs in the Attic, his great first live album, had that on vinyl. And eventually, as I got bigger in the music, bigger in the ranking albums list, I started getting, into all this, and here I am. But I feel like everyone in some way is a Billy Joel fan. If you aren't a Billy Joel fan, you do love a Billy Joel song. When it comes on, you just, you have to, sing along to it, tap along to it, whatever. All right, real quick, we go back over it again. Coming number 1 was The Stranger. Number 2, 52nd Street. Number 3, Piano Man. Number 4, Cold Spring Harbor. Number 5, An Innocent Man. Number 6, Glass Houses. Number 7, Turnstiles. Number 8, Street Life Serenade. Number 9, The Nylon Curtain. Number 10, The Bridge. Number 11, River of Dreams. Number 12, Stormfront. And number 13, which I don't own, Fantasies and Delusions, Billy's final and classical album. So everyone, thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. I promise I'll be making more videos more often. Had a lot of things going on, but I think I'm back. And I'm getting close to 1,000 followers, so I think as an appreciation, I'm just going to do kind of a room tour. Also thinking about doing a contest, a giveaway of some sort. I have a lot of doubles of CDs and things like that, so I'm probably going to do a giveaway. But yeah, the room tour is coming when I hit 1,000 followers. So everyone, thanks again for watching. If you haven't already, remember, hit that subscribe button, like the video. If you want to see more of my collection, I post here and there on Instagram. It's at Gary of the Elysiums. And yeah, everyone, stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.